Hey, what's up, YouTubers? Tonight, I just want to talk to you about Donald Trump. Satan or saint? He seems to be the new great Satan in the United States. I'm down here in Central America. I'm not sure what to make of it all, but I've been watching the news lately, and he seems to be hated by everyone. He seems to be hated by the establishment Republicans. He seems to be hated by the establishment liberals or Democrats. And he seems to be loved by mainly middle-class people in the Democratic Party, middle-class people in the Republican Party. It's kind of amusing. There's even quite a few people who like him, but they're too scared to say so. So when there's these surveys, there's a certain percentage of the U.S. population that won't say they like him, but they probably do or agree with his policies. So like last few days, I've been noticing on news media, there's all these famous not politicians, but celebrities. Quite a few celebrities in the states who say if Donald Trump actually wins the election, what they're planning to do, they'll expatriate or leave the country, which I kind of doubt, and I think it's all hyperbole, but we'll see. What's interesting about the Donald Trump phenomenon? Well, he's an entrepreneurial businessman. He's a celebrity on TV. He has an incredibly high IQ from what I can tell and from what I've learned about him by researching him. And he seems to be blowing all the establishment politicians out of the water. Let me explain what I mean. The Bush family, the Bush team / family either raised on his behalf like $100 million for the Bush the younger, not the former president, but his brother, Anyways, what's amazing is the Republican establishment raised $100 million for Bush, and it hasn't done him a damn bit of good. That's what's amazing. The establishment just can't run up any politician right now and get the support of average people in the United States. That's really phenomenal. But the idea is they raised $100 million and it hasn't bought the election, hasn't mattered squat. Let me explain a few things. In the United States in politics, both parties vet the candidates or they screen the candidates. So how can I put this? No candidate can squeeze through who has their own mind or their own independence or their own view of things. If they don't agree with the establishment, they either can't raise money or they can't win the primaries. It's one or the other or both. So that's what's amazing. The Republican establishment raised $100 million for their main candidate, and he's just totally flopped. I don't know if they spent all that $100 million, but they didn't buy him squat. So when people say you can buy the elections, well, you can to a certain extent, but in this case, it hasn't mattered one damn bit. And then the other leading, Republican candidates, same thing. These are all vetted and screened by the establishment, but they don't have nearly the polling numbers Donald Trump has. And that's really, really incredible. The thing about Donald is, from what I can tell, he's not beholden to anyone. He can say what he wants to say, and that's, I think, the popularity. He can talk about all the politically incorrect things that you're not supposed to talk about, whether you're in the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. So he's talking about illegal immigrants. He's talking about Muslims in Europe. He's talking about not letting Muslims from the Middle East immigrate to the U.S. All the things that you're really not supposed to talk about. He's even talked about, how can I put it? Not women's rights, but women in their role in the community. And he's even had a little bit of pushback with some of the leading ladies in the chattering classes. I won't name names, but I think you know who I'm talking about. And no matter what he says, and no matter how politically incorrect he is, it sure doesn't seem to hurt his poll numbers. Now, what do I think is going to happen? Well, personally, I think Mrs. Clinton's going to win the election. If you go to the betting sites in Europe, she's the leading candidate. And for the last 10, 15 years, the betting sites in Europe have always predicted with a great degree of accuracy elections and who wins and the election gains of parties all across Europe and the United States. In case you're interested, Tonight's episode is being brought to you by Mosa Bach beer. Anyhow, getting back to the Donald, um, the betting site suggests that Mrs. Clinton's going to win, and I think that will be the case. There was a time, I think in the 1960s or 70s, I think 69, I can't remember, where the Republicans ran a candidate who was not part of the establishment, and he was very popular. And what happened was they shut him out. They totally shut him out. You either can't raise the money, or when you get to the primaries, you cannot win. There's all kinds of games they can play. If you've watched in recent years elections, the last presidential election of Ron Paul, then you'll know what I'm talking about. He is very popular amongst average Republicans, although I'm not a Republican myself. In the primaries, they shut him down. So if you're not vetted by the establishment, you do not gain the support of the Republican establishment, and you will not gain money, and you will not gain any of the delegates. That's just how it works. Through hook or crook, they will cheat you. And it's the same in the Democratic side too. That's why I don't think anyone needs to worry about the Bernie burn, another socialist idiot who seems to be popular in the U.S. right now. But the average American people, they don't support Bernie. So that I think it's pretty much a shoo-in unless Mrs. Clinton does something incredibly stupid, which I don't think she's that dumb. I don't think she will. So I think she's gonna get the presidency. So I don't think people around the world have to worry about the Donald gaining the office. Now, anything can happen. I admit that, but I just don't see it happening. So why is he my comment is, why is he so unpopular? Well, he's breaking all the political rules in the U.S. He's talking about things you're not supposed to talk about. He's saying things you're not supposed to say, and conventional wisdom says when you talk about these things, your candidacy's over. Well, that hasn't happened with him. He's not beholden to the establishment. He has his own money to spend. And what's amazing is how little he's spent and how much popularity he's gained by just speaking what he thinks. I'm not sure if he really thinks that or if he's just really clever. It's hard to know what he really thinks. I think he's really clever, and he may not be saying what he really thinks. He may be positioning himself not for this election, but for whatever happens after Mrs. Clinton wins the election. So that could be a strategy. I'm really not sure, but that's what I think anyhow. I think his popularity is tremendous amongst average middle class people who are worried about losing their job. As people may or may not know, we're heading into another great recession, probably worse than 2008 and 9. So people are really scared for their jobs. People feel threatened by immigrants, which may or may not be right, but that's how they feel. And he's talking about stuff like that. And he has the courage of his convictions to talk about things you're just not supposed to talk about, and no other politician is willing to do that. And I think average men and women of America are just sick and tired of these wussies. So that's why he has so much support. But again, I don't think you got to worry about him winning the election or anything, or winning any kind of being on the Republican ticket or anything. So just want to put that out there for people who are worried about the Donald. Anyhow, that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Leave a comment, share the video, tell me what you think. Is the Donald the next great Satan, or what do you think? Thank you.